With so many birth control options out there, I'm sure that you're wondering what your choices are, what the best one is for you, and which ones you should choose on. Today, we're going to be talking about contraception. I'm going to be your pharmacist today, Farm Fumilola. Let's get into it, guys. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Adam Diaries. My name is Fumilola. I'm a mom of two and a double board certified pharmacist. I live in Canada and I'm on a self journey. It is my hope that I can inspire at least one person to get on the journey of theirs as well. Today, we're going to be talking about birth control, contraception. There's so many birth control options in the market. From inserts to implants to pills to shots. And a lot of people find it confusing. So I thought, let's talk about contraception today and see if we can enlighten at least one person to make a decision. Let's get into it, guys. So, let's do the basics. What is contraception? Contraception basically just means preventing pregnancy, right? There are different ways you can do this, and it typically depends on your health, your lifestyle, and yeah, health, lifestyle, comorbidities, basically still health. There are different types of ways that you can prevent pregnancy. You can choose to go natural, which is, counting your cycle. So basically, like people who don't want any form of artificial birth control, count your cycle and all that. Throughout the course of this video, we're going to be talking about the different ways that you can do contraception, and I will try to also include slides of the advantages of each one, how soon a person can get pregnant after, because that's usually important if you're a person that is in between kids and that's what your contraception is. So you might also want to be able to decide what the best is for you. So I'll try and include slides that have the type of contraceptive that it is, how it is used, the percentage of efficacy of that particular contraception. As compared um, when done in clinical trial with a group of women, and also how soon a person can get pregnant after. So let's take it one by one. The first one we're going to be talking about is birth control pills. So birth control pills are, like, most of the time they're daily pills. You have pills that you take every day. Some of them are like 21 days or 28 days. Most times the difference between 21 days and 28 days is sugar pills, because they don't want you to forget. So what they do is they do the 21 days active and then the 7 days usually sugar pills, because they find that when people do 21 days and they have to go off for 7 days, they sometimes don't remember when they're supposed to restart, or when they're supposed to, like, or when they stopped. So 7 days sugar pills usually keep, so that way you don't stop. You just keep going. When the pack finishes, you start with the next pack. Now the problem with, okay, wait, efficacy rate is like 91 to 99%, and once you stop this, you get pregnant. Like, by the next cycle, you should be good. But the problem with this, and which is also the advantage of why you can get pregnant almost immediately after you stop, is taking your pills every day is something that a lot of people cannot do. Let's be factual. So if you miss the pills, or you miss it at a time when you're maybe ovulating or whatever, pregnancy is very easy to happen. There's tons and tons of stories of people who got pregnant while they were on the pill. Of course, they're like, oh, I was on the pill. The pill doesn't work. It's because, no, no, no. You probably missed one or two, or you changed your time of day. Maybe you took it in the morning today, tomorrow you took it at night, next tomorrow you're taking it at noontime. Like, you're not steady. So how do you make sure that this works for you? You have to set an alarm or put it beside an activity that you do every day, like brushing your teeth, for example. You put the pills there. In the morning when you wake up, you pick up your toothbrush, brush, 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 pop your pill, and you're good to go, right? So, birth control, yeah, pills is one way of doing it. Now, most birth control pills are hormonal. I have to say that. So if you're someone who has issues with certain hormones, that's another kettle of fish. Deciding if your health conditions will allow you to take hormonal medication is a conversation you really do need to have with your doctor, because each person is on a case by case basis. For example, people who have breast cancer or history of breast cancer in their family shouldn't take high estrogen pills, right? And sometimes birth control pills may be like mixed estrogen, progesterone, or higher progesterone, lower estrogen, or higher estrogen, lower progesterone, depending on your circumstances, right? So there's also a lot of nuances in there. But what you need to know about birth control pills is most of the time you have to take it every day. If you miss it, your protection might be broken, and then you might have to wear a condom in between when you go back again for another straight 7 days. So if you're taking your pills, you've taken your pills for straight 7 days, you are most likely going to be covered. But if you have a break in between any of those, my suggestion is that if you do have to have sexual intercourse, you should use a condom. The next one we're going to talk about is patches. So most birth control patch is more convenient than the pills because you only change your patch once a week. Now, usually here or like lower abdomen and at the back here, you can use the patch. So you put the patch same day of the same thing. You need to set an alarm so you're doing same day of the week around the same time. This kind of keeps the hormonal contents in your body steady. So you put the patch. Make sure you don't put it on a hairy spot because when you want to take it off, it's going to be painful. So you put the patch same day of the week. Once a week, you take it off, you replace it. Now, for people who don't want to have their periods, they usually don't have any break. But for people who actually do want a period, you can do 3 weeks on, 1 week off for most patches. Yeah. So again, the efficacy is like 94%. So it's pretty good if you stay on the patch. But and then when you go off it, it's pretty much like the pills. You get pregnant almost immediately, or at least like 3 months, sure, you get pregnant. The problem again, if you forget, you can get pregnant in between. There's tons and tons of stories of people who got pregnant while they were on the patch. The third one that we're going to be talking about is the depot shots. Depo Provera is progesterone shots, and efficacy is like 94% as well. So the pros for the shot will be once every 3 months. That's amazing, right? You just have to remember to show up at your pharmacist or your doctor's office once every 3 months or 13 weeks, actually, get a shot and you're good to go. The cons for the depot shot is the time to recover may not be so quick if you want to get pregnant. So if you're someone who, say, you have a kid and you're looking to get pregnant in the next 1, 2 years, the depot shot is most likely not for you. So you want to try another thing. But if you're younger, say you're like 16 or 18, and you want to use contraceptives, the depot shot is a good option, barring any health conditions, of course, because it also delays ovulation. So that's one of it, right? Most people, after they get the depot shots continuously for about 4 or 5 times, their period disappears. A lot of young people like this, right? But if you're someone who is very active, it's a little bit worrisome because you get worried if you don't know when you're ovulating. How do you know? Especially if you're not good with your shots. Let's say you miss it once in a while, you go 1 week late, 2 weeks late. I mean, that's not the way to do it. So, yeah, I think the pros for that one would be once every 3 months. The cons would be the recovery to get pregnant. Also, because it is hormonal, there is some weight gain associated with Jipo shots. Next one we're talking about are IUDs. So IUDs, there are two types. There's the hormonal, which is like example, the Mirena, or the non-hormonal, like the copper. So for the hormonal, they can be like heavy cramping after insertion. That's one of the side effects. For the copper, they can be heavy bleeding after insertion. Efficacy rate is 99% for IUDs, even though again we have seen stories of children that hold their mom's IUDs and come to life. I mean, those ones they want to be born. Nothing anybody wants to tell me about that. So yeah, for most of them, like for both of these IUDs, one of the major advantage is that if you're in between kids, IUD is fantastic. Less weight gain almost immediately after. I remember that I had the copper IUD after my son, and we took it out, and I conceived my daughter like the same month. And then I had the Mirena after my daughter. I took it out and I haven't, been able to get pregnant since then. So even though it says that you're supposed to be able to conceive almost immediately, but I think that it varies for people. But for the copper, it's almost instant. Most people will tell you that it's good for them. So advantages for the IUD would be you get the insertion once and done. The disadvantages would be cramping for the hormonal and bleeding or spotting or irregular bleeding for the copper. And then, yeah, I think that those are the ones for the IUD. So the next one that we're going to talk about is the implant. Nexplanon. I think that that's the only brand or implanon or whatever that you implant in here. It is hormonal. The efficacy rate is about 90 something percent as well. What are the pros for this one? I mean, you just put it in, it stays for up to 3 years. Oh, yeah, for the IUDs, you can have it for 5 to 10 years. So I think that's another pro for that one. So for the implant, you can have it for up to 3 years. So one and done, at least for 3 years. 90 something percent as 99% or so as well. There can be some weight gain because again it's hormonal, and then time to pregnancy after you remove it is like 3 months ish. I have heard stories though of people who said that they had to wait longer to get pregnant after taking out the implant, but on the average it's about 3 months because people still do start to ovulate about 1 month after it's taken out. So yeah, that's the one for the implant. Okay, so I think the final hormonal one that I want to talk about now is emergency contraception. So like Plan B, what's that? What's it called in Nigeria? Well, levonorgestrel is like the biggest emergency contraception. I think there's another one that they use in Canada, but yeah, like Plan B. For this, it is good to take it few and far between because once a cycle is the advice frequency for this medication. If you take it more than once a cycle, it's not like the drug will stop working. But the truth is that the more frequent your unprotected sex, the less chances of an emergency contraceptive working. Some people take an emergency contraceptive like they're taking birth control pills. You shouldn't do that. It's going to mess up your cycle. It's going to mess up your hormones, and quite frankly, I mean, if you're taking Plan B or emergency contraception that frequently, you should probably get on a more permanent contraceptive measure. So again, emergency contraception, it has maybe 55 to 90 something percent if you take it within the first 72 hours of sex, right? So that's the advantage for that one. You can take it immediately, and usually it's one and done. I know that before there used to be two pills, but now it used to be 75 milligram levonorgestrel taken, I think, immediately and then 12 hours apart. But now they make 150 milligrams that you can just take, micrograms, milligrams. I'll have to check on that. That you can just take immediately and then it's one and done. So that's an advantage, right? If you have it on you, you can immediately use it. So again, you can use this. Let's say, for example, you're on a birth control pill. You had a space in between where you didn't take your pills and then you had unprotected sex. Emergency pills work. Condoms would work as well. Let me see. So yeah, those are the advantages for the emergency contraception. And time to pregnancy is, I mean, if you take it the way you're supposed to, which is few and far between, then time to pregnancy is almost immediate as it doesn't affect your ovulation. In fact, if you take emergency contraceptive while you are ovulating, there's a high chance that it might not work. You might still get pregnant. Now let's talk about non-hormonals. We're going to talk about condoms, male and female condoms. And yes, there are female condoms. A little bit clumsy in my opinion, but they do exist, right? So for these ones, time to pregnancy, I mean, once you take off the condom, you're good. There's no hormonal side effects, there's no insertion, there's no cramping, it's not affecting your period, and it has the added benefit of preventing STIs and STDs. So condom is like a double whammy, prevents babies and prevents infections. But again, if you're someone who has a lot of unprotected sex, condom sometimes doesn't do what it's supposed to do. There's also the problem of breakage or the problem of leakage or puncturing. Condoms have an 85 to 99% chance of protection. Again, it can break. That is like the biggest con of a condom. But otherwise, if you use a condom every time that you have unprotected sex, you are 85 to 99% sure that you're preventing pregnancy and preventing STI. So, yeah, it's a good one. Another one that people use, and I've never been able to get around, is diaphragms and cervical caps. What is the pro of this? It is non-hormonal. The con, which I don't know if it's a pro or con, a doctor needs to insert it for you, just like an IUD. Time to pregnancy is zero to none. Once they take it out, you're good. Percentage efficacy would be like 80 something to 94%. So yeah, that one's good as also. Pro is that non-hormonal, so no spotting, no bloating. Con is doctor will have to insert it for you. Another pro is that you can get pregnant immediately after you take it out. Oh yeah, there's also rings. There's the Nova ring. That one is not very common. I think when we're in Nigeria, I never actually said, but when we go here, there's also the Nova ring. It's hormonal as well. It's a ring. You insert it. You have to put it at the mouth of the cervix. It's usually one ring. You take it out after 3 weeks. So it's yeah, one ring. You take it out after 3 weeks. You take a week's break to get your period, and then you put the ring back again. It also, like the patch and like the other hormonals that we have talked about, have 80 something to 94% efficacy. Time to pregnancy is not long at all. Start to ovulate within 1 month of taking it out. So yeah, that's the one for the ring. Now, we've talked about hormonals and non-hormonals. The next one that we're going to talk about is more permanent contraception. So for women, that will be tubal ligation or tubes tying. So either snipping your tubes or tying your tubes. For tying your tubes, you're supposed to be able to untie it later if you want to have kids. But if they cut the tubes, then most likely zero chances of pregnancy later on. For men, it would be vasectomy. Even though this is like something that is becoming more and more prominent, a lot of men still have a big issue with getting a vasectomy because they think it makes them less of a man. I mean, to each his own, and everyone with their um psychology and mental whatever when it comes to certain things. But yeah, for women, tubal ligation. For men, it would be vasectomy. So, tubal ligation and vasectomy, there is 99% efficacy in these things in preventing pregnancy. If they do get reversed, there's a 50 to 80% chance of them working. They may be reversible, but not always. So that's something you want to look out for. If you know you still want to have kids, this is not a path you want to go down. So yeah, that's it. And then our final, last but not the least, doom, will be for people who don't believe in any external influences in preventing children for religious purposes, for personal reasons, for morality, for whatever. So people count their calendars, basically try to know their cycle. There's various ways that they do learn body temperature. They take mucus around your ovulation, being able to calculate your cycle. I've heard people who say that it's not a big deal because that's how they grew up and that's what they've always known. But if you're someone that is new to it, you might need to do a little bit of research for that. So I forgot to talk about one birth control measure that I know that people used to use when we're back home, and this is herbs. I know that some people use herbs. There were these tiny, we these call them cat eye seeds. I know some people used to use that when we're back home, and some people swear by herbal remedies for contraception. So I don't know a lot about this. I would like to learn if this is information that you have or you can tell us about. Please put it in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video and you learned something about contraception today, please like, remember to subscribe to the channel and share this video to somebody who you know will enjoy learning about contraception or who you know would learn from it. Bye guys. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video.